I'm going to give you 3 tips that you can utilize today to make sure that the loose leash walking, you can be a little less stressed out about it, okay? Let me jump right into it. Tip number 1, be proactive, meaning what equipment can you use to help decrease some of the pulling that's going on with your new dog? Ideally, you want to use a front clipped harness and not a back clip harness. A lot of times as new dog owners, we're not sure of the proper equipment we need to get. And so sometimes we may get what we see most dog owners getting or what we see on the internet. But I'm here to tell you that the front clip harness is ideal for any new dog owner, any dog owner that's struggling with their dog pulling. So how that works is the front clip of the harness, when your dog tends to pull like that, it's gonna make them pull to the side. In return, it's going to decrease their pulling. When you have the harness that clips in the back here, it's very restricting to the dog, and especially if they're trying to go see something. So it just makes them pull in general, ideally in a situation where they probably wouldn't be pulling because they're strapped onto something. So using the front clip harness is going to be effective for you and your dog. I actually have one right here. If you can see the front clip right there, opposed to it being on the back of the dog. I love the Easy Walk brand or Pet Safe. My recommendation to you is to simply go into the store and try it on. And everyone's always like, oh my God, but no, don't worry, because look, it opens up just like this. You could, they don't mind. You try it on your dog and then you can just put it back in if it's the right one or if it's not. But ideally, being proactive, choosing the right equipment as far as harnesses. Also, the leash you use, if you're using a retractable, get rid of that for now until your dog learns how to walk nicely on a leash. You want to use a 6-foot leash. I love a long line because ideally gives the dog the freedom they want, and you're also helping them not to pull, right? But you want to utilize whatever's going to be easier for you, because sometimes a long line can be cumbersome until you really learn how to navigate it. But make sure you get the harness and a 6-foot leash. Tip number 2, this one's going to be crucial. Monitor the environment you're walking your dog. Believe it or not, that will reduce your dog's pulling as well. So for instance, I'm sitting here at Petco, right? If I had a puppy or any dog or that didn't know how to walk on leash and that pulled, I wouldn't take him to a mall like this, because there's too many different things around where your dog's gonna want to sniff and things like that, and they're definitely gonna pull even with the front clip. It may not be as much because you have the harness, but they will. So instead, thinking about going to areas like trails, parks, hikes, things like that, where there's a lot of woods, you may not see as many people. And dogs are natural hunters, so they love smelling in the woods, they love doing things like that. Like I tell the families I work with, sniffing is very exhausting, so even taking your dog to the trail is going to help calm them as well. And if you do go to trails or parks or things like that, I would use a long line. But again, use what you're comfortable with, because you want to give your dog time to explore. With that being said, I'm not saying that you can't go to places like Petco or busy areas, but you don't want to go Saturday at 2 or Saturday at 7, because those are usually the busy times. Maybe go at 8 o'clock in the morning and take your dog to a mall or area and walk around. We don't want to eliminate them from walking all places. If you absolutely have to go somewhere, just make sure it's less distractions. Okay. Tip number 3, you want to make sure that your walk is your dog's walk, not your walk. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. A lot of times we take our dogs on walks, either one, maybe because we like walking, running, or whatever, but ideally that's part of the ownership of dogs, right? Food, exercise, health, right? So you're like, okay, I got to take this dog for a walk because it's something they need. But a lot of times what I find is that with dog owners, we pick a pre-planned path, whether it's 1 or 2, and we take our dog on it, whether it's convenient for us or whatever it may be. But one thing that's going to get your dog to stop pulling is if you stay consistent. Stay consistent and let the dog's walk be its own. Meaning when you leave the house, you're going to simply follow your dog. Where do they want to go? So I always say, let them go where they want to go, belongs they're not getting in trouble. What I mean is, when you go out the door, if they start to walk on the street, of course not. If they start to jump on people, of course not. You just redirect and keep going. But your dog will pull less if you allow them to lead the walk. I cannot speak enough about that. It really does make or break things. I'm going to throw a 4th tip in there, a bonus: choosing the right treats. You want to choose something that's going to be enticing, right? So I'm out today. I love me Purdue chicken strips because they're already pre-cooked, and this is something that would get a dog going. Most dogs do love food and snacks and things of such, so I always make sure I have a bag of Purdue chicken strips with me. They were frozen, they're okay. I put them back in the fridge. Also cheese sticks and some regular treats as well. And here's why. If you're walking in a neighborhood and nothing's much going on, you use something like this. If you're, dogs pulling to keep them focused. I like to practice recalls on walks, calling them back. And so I use a treat like this. But if you know your dog in certain situations, like maybe a dog's approaching or maybe a person's coming and you need to keep them with you, you have to use something better. You're competing with the outside world. And so it's like, what do we have? This right here is like a saltine cracker. This is like a steak, okay? So you want to break out the steak when you really need them to focus, especially with puppies or teenage dogs or just dogs who don't ideally know how to walk on a leash. And so make sure you're bringing treats out with you. So to recap on the rules, number 1, choosing the right equipment, front clip harness, a leash. Also choosing the right environment. Less distractions, the better. Try trails, parks, or things like that. If you are going to go to a place with a lot of distractions, you want to make sure that you go early enough where it's not going to be an issue. And then the third one is you want to make sure that you let your dog lead their own walk. That's going to be very important. And also using the proper treats. Those are going to be key. So implement those strategies. A lot of times when I talk to families and they call for training, I always want to know where they're at now, what they've tried, because sometimes it just takes tweaking things, adding treats, going a different route, and you'll notice your dog does know how to walk on leash. They don't pull as much, but also there may be times where you actually do need your dog to walk on a leash. So you can implement these strategies today, but you can also grab my loose leash walking guide. You can find that on any social media platforms. Instagram, any social media platforms, and on the website. There's tons of free guides there. There's definitely a loose leash walking guide to get you started. The sooner you teach your dog, the better. Okay, so hope you gain some good insight on how to walk, tips on how to walk your dog, and I will see you next week with another great topic. Bye.